experience include librarian at the Jamaican Library Service, and she has training in customer service techniques. She loves to travel to the country. Miss Carrie-Ann Spencer shares with us. She likes to go to Portland in particular. She loves the beach. She likes to watch TV, and most important, she loves her family. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Miss Carrie-Ann Spencer to take us through the Sharepoint sensitization session. Today, Spencer, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. I was hoping that the area would be more enclosed and I wouldn't have to use the mic. I'm not so fond of it, but I'll try to use it today anyway. So, as the introduction says, I'm from the Records Management Department, and my manager will be here soon. She's Samantha Robinson-Edwards, and we fall under the ISTS division. We also operate the Records Center. A lot of you know it as the warehouse. It's located on Spanish Town Road, and that's where most of the organizations in active records are stored. And that building or the operations down there is a part of our portfolio. So this morning, I'll be doing a brief introduction to the electronic document and records management system that we'll be using, and it is Microsoft Sharepoint. A part of our mandate is to implement an organizational records and information management program. I don't know if some of you saw last year that a policy was sent out for feedback to the system, and so that policy for records and information management will be implemented sometime soon. So what is the objective of our session today? First, we'll understand what document management is, and we'll also recognize the importance and benefits of using Microsoft Sharepoint to manage our records. So you hear the term document management and you wonder, what is document management? Well, it is basically managing the life cycle of documents from the initial stage, which is creation, their storage, review, publishing, retrieving, and of course the final stage, whether they are to be disposed or retained. And you notice the word disposed is used and not destroyed. Right, so the principles of basic document management include using an agreed filing system or a standardized filing system. So basically we're saying that the organization should have a standardized filing system right across the board. All documents should be arranged in standard subfolders with meaningful names and topics, and I'll give you an example of that later on. And of course, the document type should be standard so that documents are easier to locate. It includes having naming conventions. So instead of persons going in on the H drive and say they have a folder called meeting, but in that folder you just see agenda, we are suggesting that the document have names. For example, if it is a committee meeting, it is the name of the committee meeting and the date of the committee meeting instead of committee meeting. Am I with you so far? Please feel free to ask questions in between the presentation. So, for us to have good document management, it means that everyone who is responsible for record keeping must understand the naming convention and stick to them. And through Sharepoint, we hope to achieve all of that. Of course, the process of document management is difficult, and for it to be effective, then that is why the sensitization session is important. And of course, you know, within our organization, it can be challenging because we generate a lot of paper. Our processes dictate that a lot of paper is used. A study done in 2012 in the US by PricewaterhouseCoopers, it listed these observations. And why we list this study here is because a lot of persons would not see the relevance of document management, but these are the findings. 70% of an employee's time is spent processing paper documents. Would you agree with that? I agree. 15% of our documents are misfiled or misplaced. 30% of our documents that we use daily contain obsolete information. I don't know, for example, how many of you would have like a policy manual, and on your desk, that policy manual, you'll have 2012 copy, 2013 copy, 2014 copy, 2015 copy. That's something that you might see happening somewhere else. But of course, you know that the later version is what is current, and therefore all the other versions would be obsolete. Other observations: a lot of our time is spent looking for all these documents that are misfiled or misplaced or even lost. Paper, the growth of paper is at 25%. So if we do not manage our documents properly, then very soon, as one study or a video shows, that you'll have more paper sitting in our spaces and we will run out of space to sit if we continue on this trend. Another problem with paper-based processes is that it is hard to validate, and a lot of businesses do not have a backup for their paper-based documents, and if we should have a natural disaster, then you know there will be chaos. Would you agree with that last statement? For example, in our organization, if it is that a natural disaster or any disaster should occur, is there a backup for our paper-based documents? I see some person saying yes, I see some person saying no. So therefore, because there is no backup, the organization does recognize that there is no backup, because the H drive, you would store a lot of things on it. So therefore, what is the solution? How do we organize our documents effectively to ensure that they are stored and retrieved in the correct way? And that is why we use Sharepoint as our electronic document and records management system. What is Sharepoint? It is a web-based content management and collaboration platform. It has social media capabilities. It has capabilities for shared calendars, blogs, survey, document library, and shared task list. From this list, however, you notice that it has a lot of features, but today we'll only be focusing mainly on the document management side of SharePoint. And there is a video that I'm going to play at this point.
Company, you'll probably recognize how it feels to be Monique. She starts a new project, looks for team members, holds meetings, and the emails start flying. Pretty soon, a few important documents emerge, and those documents get passed around and around. Within a couple of weeks, a few hundred emails, and a couple of dozen phone calls, a few things become clear. First, people feel overwhelmed. Everyone's inbox is filled with slightly different versions of the same document. Monique is never sure if she has the latest version. Second, it's impossible for her to see a complete snapshot of the project. Everything is spread across multiple computers, and everyone on the team has different information depending on who they talk to. Third, even though the project will impact other projects, there's no way to connect them. They're like islands. She spends valuable time trying to coordinate with other project leads and stakeholders. It's better than sending snail mail, but it's not the only way. Tools like Sharepoint can take away some of the pain of collaborating and easily do things that were difficult before. Imagine this scenario. Monique starts a new project and needs to form a team. This time, she creates an online home for the project by starting a new SharePoint site. To help fill out the team, Monique identifies potential team members with special skills using search. Within minutes, she finds 2 graphic designers in the company and contacts them about the project. Once the team is formed, Andrea and Dimitri learn that they have more in common thanks to SharePoint blogs. Common interests and things like mountain biking help build relationships that create a solid team foundation. For this project, there's little worry about attachments and version control. SharePoint becomes the source for everything related to the project. All documents live in SharePoint, where there is only one version. The same is true for calendars. The team's shared calendar means no one has to guess about meeting times or due dates. Monique soon realizes she also needs budget spreadsheets and presentations. Instead of having to reinvent the wheel, she can search SharePoint for documents from other projects that help her get started quickly. The same is true for existing databases and networks within her company. SharePoint plugs into these systems, so Monique and her team can access sales data, inventory numbers, and contact information right from SharePoint. Now she can see that instead of people, documents, and company data being islands in a huge ocean, SharePoint creates a home that not only connects these islands, but allows her company to see the big picture. Monique's memories of those pre-SharePoint days are still fresh, but now she looks forward to her next projects, even while she's taking a break on her own island getaway. Learn more at sharepoint.microsoft.com. For more videos to educate your organization at
So that's SharePoint in a nutshell from the video. Of course, you see all the capabilities that it has. But as I said before, we'll be focusing more on the document management and the records management aspect of it today. What are some of the document features? Check-in, check-out. This is not like your library setting. What this feature does is that you are able to check in a document for all the other members of your document set to see. But once that document is checked out, then the other persons will only be able to see a read-only copy of that document. you check out the document basically to do some further work on it. It allows you to co-author. While we're doing another sensitization session, it works similar to the comment section in Microsoft Word. However, the co-authoring allows you multiple persons to work on the same document. For that feature to work though, you will not be able to use check-in and check-out at the same time. So it's either you're going to use the check-in, check-out feature or the co-authoring or collaborating feature. It also has the versioning feature, meaning that Sharepoint will only save the latest version of your document once you declare that version. It allows an audit trail, so you will see who did what and at what time. And of course, with that audit trail, it will ensure the security of your documents. It has a search feature, so you'll be able to search for the documents once you upload them. And of course, it allows you to integrate your Microsoft documents inside. And the records management feature, so each document type has a specified retention period attached to it. So once that period has ended, then it will move to the record center on SharePoint as well. Any questions so far? Alright, the retention period is determined on the schedule, the records and retention disposition schedule, and that is attached to the records and information management policy. What type of records, for example? Right. The system is automatically set, so policy and procedures would fall under a specific record series on the retention schedule, and that is entered on the system. So you individually, if you're uploading that document, you wouldn't be able to enter a retention period yourself, because those periods are set on SharePoint. Any other questions? Is everybody understanding? I'm seeing some blank faces. And we now look at some of the other document management capabilities. So first, when you try to open a file in a network operating system that someone else is already editing, you'll get an alert that the file is already in use and you have the option to make a copy. It coordinates the editing of a document to prevent overwriting of someone's changes. Those are self-explanatory. It tells, of course, who is editing the document, what time it was checked out, and it also provides relevant information about the purpose of the revision. So a feature in SharePoint will allow you to say whether the changes you made to the document were minor changes or major changes, and that is when you change the version of the document. Right.
Not hearing.
Alright, she was asking if it is that you are working on a document and based on the first option where she gets a copy, that copy is a read-only copy. If it is that the document was checked out by someone else who are editing, the only way you'll be able to work on that document is if the collaborating feature is on, where many persons can work on the same document simultaneously. The second point has to do with the collaborating feature, where persons work on the same document. However, you'll be able to see what changes were made by different persons. Any other questions? So it tells, of course, who was editing the document. And as I explained before, so it allows you to work on the document simultaneously, and therefore it prevents you from printing and distributing many copies. I don't know if many of you have had the opportunity to type documents, or when you're typing the document, you're looking at 3 different copies to see the different changes that person have made, and you are typing that same document. So it eliminates the printing and distributing of those documents. It manually merges and coordinates the changes, and of course the tracking feature that tells who does what, and you'll have the most up-to-date version available. As I explained before, it has the version control feature, so Sharepoint will only save the latest version of the document. If there is any need for you to roll back to the previous version, then that option is also available. It has an audit trail, so you'll know who did what with the information that is there. And of course, with any system, there has to be some access control. So you'll be wondering, will everybody have access to confidential documents? No. Documents can be restricted at different levels. So there is the site level restriction. So not everybody will be able to access the BTDI site. There will be folder restrictions or library restrictions. So for example, an instructor will not be able to access the document library of, say, the personnel department. And also there is document level. So within that folder, that library, persons might not be able to see confidential documents within that library. And for you to find your documents easily, there is a search feature, just like Google. Any other questions so far? Another feature of Sharepoint is the workflow automation. And the workflows are used to manage business processes. They incorporate approvals and routine rules to define who should see the document and in what order. We use a typical example like a leaf form. That is a process that can be automated. So from start to finish, you sign up the leaf form. Within Sharepoint, that form can be incorporated. It goes to the relevant persons for approval at every stage within the system. So therefore, you see, it eliminates the need for us to print the actual leave form, submit it to our supervisor, because all of that is done within Sharepoint. And that feature will be on stream soon as well. This is a typical example of what the workflow automation looks like. So it allows you to see whether the document was approved, whether it was disapproved, and it is sent back to the relevant person. So that's where the routine rules will apply. The records management aspects, so remember I said in the beginning that we'll be focusing on the 2 aspects, the document management and records management aspect. And records management is a set of activities required for controlling the creation, distribution, use, maintenance, and disposition of the content. And this is basically for us to keep our evidences. Sharepoint The system will allow you to determine when your documents become records. And as explained before to Simone, it has set in it retention time. For all records, there's retention periods. And of course, these periods are set based on the legal, business, or the regulatory requirements of the organization, and of course, of external bodies. So the retention periods that are set, Simone, they are not just based on our feeling, right? So there are different acts, of course, that govern the retention periods that are set for all documents within any government entity. And of course, when these records have passed the retention period, Sharepoint automatically disposes of them. So there is no longer room for us to store the records for 20 years if they are not vital. There are some records, however, that will go to permanent storage. So Sharepoint will serve as that backup storage, and that is electronically, as the picture shows. What are the benefits of Sharepoint? It is the central repository for information for the organization, or it will become the central repository. Therefore, we no longer need to send emails with attachments. We'll be able to send information via link. So if there's a document that we want to share with persons, then we can send it via link, which in turn will reduce your mailbox capabilities, the space. It will ultimately reduce the cost of the organization for paper, printing, toner, and of course over time storage, because if we have these documents electronically, then some of the paper-based we can do away with. The search feature will allow us to retrieve our information quickly, and also we'll be able to collaborate more on our documents. For us to implement this program though, we need to have the buy-in from you, our stakeholders. And that is why we have these sensitization sessions to share with you that it is coming on board. It is something that we are working on. And when it is on board, then we'll train persons how to use the system. And it means therefore that we have to have good record keeping principles. So our paper-based record keeping principles have to be good for us to implement it or translate to the electronic system. For any system, we need security, and of course, we need the resources, and we'll also have improved integration of business processes and systems. So that's it in a nutshell. With Sharepoint, your information will be available at your fingertips. I hope it is something that you are looking forward to just as I am. I hope so. So, thank you very much for your attention. How soon? Alright. I am not able to give you a date, but within this financial year, the BTDI will be having their document site. In fact, I'm supposed to visit the departments within this month to have a look at your records to see the type of records, so that we'll be able to create the site based on the type of records and documents that you produce. Yes, I should mention, based on her question, I'm going to address the second part, that 2 divisions are already fully on Sharepoint, and HR&A and HT&F. They were launched last year, so they are up and running. Their document sites are up and running. I don't know if many of you have been on the intranet. When you select the HTF web page, you notice that it is a Sharepoint web page. The HRNA web page is a Sharepoint web page, and I know very soon the CPSD Sharepoint web page will be up and running as well. So it is something that is going right across the organization. Last month I went to the institution, so they will be on Sharepoint as well. Well, I'm not sure how soon the workflow automation aspect will be up and running, because for this year, this financial year, we're focusing mainly on the document management aspect of SharePoint. Period between when you store and discard is dependent on the type of record. It is dependent on the type of record, because different retention rules would apply to different records. For example, an HR records last for life for 65 years, and financial records based on the FAA Act would have a minimum of 7 years or until audited. So it is dependent on the type of record, and it is also dependent on if the record is vital. For example, would a staff welfare document be considered a vital record as opposed to a policy document, right? Well, not for this financial year, but once we get our document sites up and running and fully functional, then it will be next on the list. And of course, intranet pages are coming on stream slowly as well. Well, all right. My manager is going to help me out on this one, because I don't want to get you too excited and give you wrong information. So she's going to answer that one. The question, if everybody didn't hear, he was asking what sort of processes or what are the processes that will be automated. I gave the leave form as an example.
All right, morning everyone. I'm Samantha Robinson Edwards, the manager for the Orange Department. As it relates to the workflow automation, we'll be working with the System and Processes unit to identify those business processes that we can automate on SharePoint. That is not scheduled until next financial year. As currently said, the main focus is establishing the document sites for this financial year. Then next year we look at email integration and then automating the processes. Alright?
Alright, in preparation for us, after we have done our document inventory, number one, you will have to identify your key resource person that will be uploading your documents, your records to the document site once it is created. That is key, because a lot of the divisions that we have launched the document site in, that is their main issue. So I'd say that is the first thing. Identify your key persons that will be uploading your documents to the document site. And then the resource is your scanner. So you'll be needing, a lot of persons have bought the multifunction printers, and those can scan directly to SharePoint. So those are two key Of course, the training will be done by our department. Once the document size is up, the training will be done by our department. And that is where you identify your persons who will be your administrators for the site and the persons who will upload the documents based on the processes within your institution.
Just to add, with the document inventory, when we do that, we actually analyze the data from the inventory to assist us with developing the records retention and disposition schedule. So what we do, once we have done the inventory within the different departments and we look at the information, we will call resource persons to assist us with establishing retention periods for the records. Because we don't know your records or what they're used for, we normally have dialogue with the persons to establish retention. Once we have done that, we have a RIM committee that meets each quarter, and then they will go through the schedule as well because they're responsible for reviewing, editing, and approving. With the schedule, I must mention that even though our RIM committee may approve it, I don't know if everyone remember that email that came out in March with the RIM policy, and I know Jeanette had made some comments on the schedule that she did not see student records on it. Why? Because we had not done inventory at the institutions. And then with BTDI also, once we have the information, then we will do an analysis, and hopefully by September, we have a meeting for him actually this Thursday, but we won't have sufficient information yet to develop the schedule for student records. So hopefully by September, once we have gathered all the information, we will have something in place for how long we're going to be keeping student and academic records. Also, there is a department called the Jamaica Archives and Records Department, which is the oversight body for records management within government agencies. They are a partner institution, well, agency really, and they assist us with guiding the implementation of the SPRING program within Heart Trust. We have 2 members that sit on the RIM committee as well to assist us with the implementation of the schedule as well. And then once the RIM committee has approved the schedule, we actually have to submit it to their Archives Advisory Committee for them to review and approve. If there are any changes to be made, then they will advise us, and then we make necessary changes, and then that's implemented. Hopefully for the RIM policy, there are some supporting documents as well. The schedule is one. There is a standard operating procedure for how we manage our active paper-based records that is attached as well. We, ORIM and JAD, will be working to run hopefully at least 3 workshops with persons who are responsible for records management within their departments to do what we call a file management workshop. Because how we are currently filing is not what is done within all the government agencies. I remember we went to HR the other day and someone was saying that when someone comes to borrow a file, they don't have any record of the content of the file. So when they lend out the file, they can't account for when the file returns, that every record is within the file. Sorry. Now there is a mini sheet that should be attached to each file, which we are not doing. So when they run that workshop with the different records officer, then we will be implementing such a system within the organization. I know that some of the institutions we have visited, they have records officer now in place. So that is something we would have to find out if it is standard across the organization, such a position. So we will have to speak to HR regarding that. what I can tell you is that ORIM is actually tasked to identify the resources that are needed for the implementation of Sharepoint. So we will be identifying that each department will need to have dedicated personnel for records management as well as I can tell you that for ISTS, we have what we call the manpower requirements document. That was done, I think, 2 years ago. And we are now tasked as the head of departments to identify if that manpower requirement is in keeping with the current PE budget, and if it is not, if there are additional human resource that we need within the department to assist us to carry out our different activities. And that is something that you can start doing now, identifying those resource personnel that you will need to assist you with the records management program overall. Alright, we will have one from ORIM that will oversee the entire organizational site, but each department and cost center, as you call it, will need to identify their own administrator for their different document sites. So for VTDI, if it is that you would have probably 2 resource persons depending on the different functions or the different sub-units within VTDI, then you can identify administrators accordingly. Any other questions, concerns? Alright, just to mention, Carrie Kay had mentioned that HDF and HRNA are now on Sharepoint, and she had said that if you went on the intranet page and you clicked onto their site, you would have noticed a different look to the site. What is happening now is that the software development unit is using Sharepoint as the intranet platform. So over time, they will be meeting with the different divisions to establish the intranet portal for each division on using the Sharepoint platform. So it was done for HRNA, HDF, and ISTS. And I know that they have targeted TDSS as well. I'm not sure when that will be implemented, but I know that the team will be meeting or calling on the respective managers, directors, as to how they want the site to look and what different features they will want on the site as well. And I must mention that that aspect of it is different from the document and records management portal. All right.
Since there are no other questions, concerns, that ends our presentation. Thanks very much for your questions and your interaction and your attentiveness today. And we do hope that it will be a successful partnership between both entities. Enjoy the rest of the workshop.
Thank you.